Captain Jake Morrison stood at the big window of his ship and watched the stars. His ship was called the Rusty Diamond, and it was not pretty. The metal was old and had many patches. The paint was coming off in places. But Jake loved this ship, because it was home to him and his crew. Today they were waiting for another delivery from the aliens. The Galactic Trade Federation sent them packages every month. The aliens called these packages aid, but Jake knew better. These packages were full of broken alien machines that nobody wanted anymore. The aliens thought humans were too stupid to understand their advanced technology, so they gave them their trash. "Captain, another ship is coming," said Danny Walsh. He was young and always excited about everything. Danny worked as an assistant to the chief engineer. He pointed at the screen that showed a big alien ship approaching. Jake nodded. "Tell Lisa to get ready. We have more junk to sort through." Lisa Parker was the smartest person on Jake's ship. She could look at any machine and understand how it worked. She had been studying alien technology for 3 years now. While other humans just threw the broken parts away, Lisa kept everything. She believed that even broken things could be useful. The alien ship was huge and silver. It moved without making any sound. Jake always felt small when he saw these ships. The aliens had technology that humans could only dream about. Their ships could travel between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their computers could think faster than any human brain. A voice came through the radio. It spoke in the common galactic language that all traders used. "Human vessel, prepare to receive cargo delivery. Payment is expected within standard time." "Limits!" Jake pressed a button to answer. "We're ready. Send it over." The alien ship opened a big door on its side. Hundreds of metal containers floated out and moved toward the Rusty Diamond. Each container was full of broken alien parts. Jake's crew used their ship's mechanical arms to grab the containers and pull them inside. "Same as always," said Danny as he opened the first container. Inside were pieces of metal and glass that looked like they came from some kind of computer. Most of the pieces were cracked or melted. "Why do they even bother sending us this stuff?" Lisa came over and picked up one of the pieces. She held it up to the light and looked at it carefully. "Because they don't understand us," she said. "They think we're primitives who can't learn. But every piece they send us teaches us something new." She had been collecting alien parts for a long time. Her workshop was full of broken machines that she had taken apart and studied. Lisa knew more about alien technology than most aliens did. She understood how their computers worked, how their engines produced power, and how their weapons created energy beams. The alien ship finished unloading and flew away without saying goodbye. Jake watched it disappear into space. "Another month, another load of garbage," he said. But Lisa was not listening. She was looking at something in the container. That made her eyes go wide. "Jake, come look at this," she said. Jake walked over and saw what Lisa was holding. It was a small blue crystal that glowed with its own light. He had never seen anything like it before. "What is it?" "I think it's a quantum drive core," Lisa said. Her voice was excited. "This is what aliens use to make their ships go faster than light. But this one looks different." Danny leaned in to get a better look. "Different how?" Lisa turned the crystal over in her hands. "Most quantum cores need special alien power sources to work. But this one has been modified. Look at these connections here. I think it might work with human fusion reactors." This was big news. Human ships used fusion reactors for power, but they were much simpler than alien power systems. If Lisa was right, then humans might be able to use alien technology with their own power sources. Far away on Earth, Admiral Helen Brooks was reading another message from the aliens. The message was not friendly. The Galactic Trade Federation wanted humans to send them more minerals and metals. They wanted gold, platinum, and rare elements from human planets. In return, they would continue sending their broken machines. Admiral Brooks was tired of these demands. The aliens treated humans like servants. They took whatever they wanted and gave nothing useful in return. But Earth was not strong enough to fight back. Human ships were slow and weak compared to alien vessels. Human weapons could barely scratch. Alien shields. She looked out the window of her office at the space station orbiting Earth. Human engineers and workers were busy building new ships and repairing old ones. But no matter how hard they worked, human technology was still far behind alien science. Her secretary came in with another report. "Admiral, Dr. Kevin Hart wants to see you. He says it's urgent." Dr. Hart ran a secret research station near Saturn. His job was to study alien technology and find ways to copy it. Most of his work failed because alien machines were too complex for humans to understand. But Hart never gave up trying. "Send him in," Admiral Brooks said. Dr. Hart was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been working on alien technology for 10 years. Most people thought his work was hopeless, but Admiral Brooks supported him because she believed humans needed to learn. "Admiral, we may have found something important," Dr. Hart said. He put a small device on her desk. It looked like a piece of alien machinery, but it had human wires connected to it. "This is a scanner from an alien ship. We've been trying to power it for months with no success. And now, we connected it to a human fusion battery and it worked perfectly. Not only did it work, but it worked better than when aliens used their own power sources. Our fusion reactors produce more steady energy than their crystal systems." Admiral Brooks picked up the device and looked at it closely. "What does this mean?" "It means the aliens have been giving us exactly what we need. But they don't know it. All these broken machines they send us work fine. They just need different power sources. We've been trying to fix them the alien way, but we should have been adapting them to work the human way." This news changed everything. If Dr. Hart was right, then all the alien junk that humans had been collecting could be turned into working technology. Instead of being dependent on alien charity, humans could build their own advanced machines. Admiral Brooks made a decision that would change human history. "Dr. Hart, I want you to collect every piece of alien technology we have. I'm giving you unlimited resources and the best engineers we have. It's time to show these aliens what humans can really do." Meanwhile, back on the Rusty Diamond, Lisa Parker was making her own discoveries. The quantum drive core was just the beginning. She found alien computers that could work with human software. She found weapon parts that could be powered by human reactors. She found shield generators that humans could control. For the first time in years, Lisa felt hope. The aliens thought they were giving humans garbage, but they were actually giving them the tools to become equals. It would take time and hard work, but Lisa believed humans could turn alien scrap into something amazing. She didn't know it yet, but her work would soon help build the most powerful warship the galaxy had ever seen. The New Horizon moved through space faster than it had ever traveled before. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars shift as his ship rushed toward the alien distress signal. The crew worked with focused determination, knowing they were racing against time to save unknown lives. "Captain, we're approaching the Kepler system," announced pilot Amanda Foster from her control station. "I'm detecting the source of the signal. It's coming from inside a dense asteroid field." Jake moved to the main display screen and studied the tactical information. The asteroid field was massive, filled with rocks ranging from small pebbles to chunks larger than city blocks. Flying through it would be extremely dangerous, even for an experienced pilot like Amanda. "How close can we get safely?" Jake asked. Amanda ran calculations on her computer. "The alien ship is deep inside the field. I can get us partway in, but we'll need to use the shuttlecraft for the final approach. The asteroids are moving too unpredictably for a ship this size." Security Chief Danny Walsh joined them at the display. He had been studying the scanner readings and didn't like what he saw. "Captain, this is exactly the kind of situation pirates use for ambushes. We could be flying into a trap." "The distress signal is real," Dr. Paul Henderson said as he walked onto the bridge. "I've been analyzing the transmission patterns. These beings are genuinely in trouble. Their ship's power is dropping every hour." Jake weighed his options. The asteroid field was dangerous, but the aliens would die if no one helped them. He thought about what this moment meant for humanity's future among the stars. "Amanda, take us in as far as you safely can," Jake ordered. "Danny, I want you to prepare a rescue team. We're going in with the shuttle." Dr. Susan Blake, the ship's medical officer, had been preparing the medical bay for alien patients. She had no idea what alien biology would be like, but she was ready to try saving lives regardless of species. "Captain, I've set up isolation units in case their biology is incompatible with ours," Susan reported over the communication system. "I've also prepared broad-spectrum medical supplies that should work on most carbon-based life forms." The new Horizon entered the outer edge of the asteroid field. Amanda Foster's skills as a pilot were tested immediately as rocks tumbled through space around them. She guided the ship between massive asteroids with smooth, precise movements that made the dangerous journey look easy. Engineer Katie Rodriguez monitored the ship's systems from her station. The constant course changes and sudden stops were putting stress on the engines, but everything was holding together. Katie admired how well the new Horizon was performing under pressure. "Alien vessel located," Lisa Carter announced from her communications station. "The signal is much stronger now. I'm trying to establish direct communication." On the main screen, they could see the alien ship. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. The vessel was smooth and curved, almost like a living creature. Parts of its hull were damaged, and it was spinning slowly as it drifted between two large asteroids. "That's beautiful," Amanda whispered as she maneuvered closer. "Look at those lines. Their technology is definitely more advanced than ours." Dr. Paul Henderson was recording everything with scientific instruments. This was the moment he had dreamed about his entire career. Actual proof that intelligent life existed beyond Earth. "Captain, I'm getting a response to our communication attempts," Lisa said excitedly. "They're trying to talk to us." The bridge speakers crackled with alien voices. The language was completely foreign, but there was something musical about the way the beings spoke. Lisa worked frantically to establish a translation protocol using the mathematical patterns they had discovered earlier. "This is Science Leader Thexani of the research vessel Gentle Current," came a translated voice through the speakers. The translation software was rough, but the meaning was clear. "We are grateful that someone has answered our distress call." Jake stepped forward to speak into the communication system. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon. We received your distress signal and came to help. What is your situation?" There was a long pause before Thexani responded. "Did you say human? From the planet Earth?" "Yes, we're from Earth." "Is that a problem?" Jake asked, confused by the alien's reaction. Another pause, then excited voices speaking in the alien language. When Thexani spoke again, there was amazement in the translated voice. "We cannot believe it. Humans are real, and you came to help us. We thought your species was just a frightening story told by other races." Dr. Paul Henderson found this response very interesting. It suggested that other alien species knew about humanity, which raised many questions about Earth's place in the galaxy. "We are very real," Jake replied. "What kind of help do you need?" "Our ship was damaged by asteroid impacts," Thexani explained. "Our life support systems are failing. We have perhaps 12 hours of breathable atmosphere remaining. Our own odd people cannot reach us in time." Jake looked at his crew. They had found aliens and now they had to save them. This was definitely not what anyone had expected when they left Earth. "We're going to get you out of there," Jake promised. "Prepare your crew for evacuation." Danny Walsh had been listening to the conversation while preparing the rescue mission. He selected his best people for the dangerous shuttle flight into the asteroid field. The team would include himself, Dr. Susan Blake, engineer Ben Parker, and pilot Chris Taylor. "Captain, the shuttle is ready," Danny reported. "But I have to ask about security protocols. We don't know anything about these aliens." "They're dying, Danny," Jake replied. "Whatever else they might be, Right now they need our help. Amanda. Foster guided the New Horizon as close as possible to the alien ship. The shuttle bay doors opened, and the rescue craft launched into the dangerous space between asteroids. Chris Taylor piloted the smaller vessel with the same skill Amanda had shown with the main ship. Through the shuttle's windows, the rescue team could see the alien vessel up close. It was larger than they had thought, but much of it appeared to be damaged. Pieces of the hull were missing, and the ship was clearly in serious trouble. Approaching the alien vessel now, Chris reported over the radio. I can see airlocks on the side facing us. Dr. Susan Blake prepared her medical equipment while Danny Walsh checked the rescue supplies. Ben Parker monitored the shuttle's systems, making sure their small craft could handle the stress of the rescue operation. As they drew closer to the alien ship, the rescue team realized they were about to make history. These would be the first humans to actually meet aliens face to face, and they had no idea what to expect. The shuttle docked with the alien vessel with a soft, metallic click. Danny Walsh checked his equipment one final time before opening the airlock door. The moment he stepped through, he became the first human to board an alien spacecraft. The interior of the ship was nothing like human designs. The walls curved smoothly, and soft blue light came from panels that seemed to grow out of the surfaces. Everything was built for beings much smaller and more delicate than humans. Danny had to duck, his head to avoid hitting the low ceiling. The air is breathable, Dr. Susan Blake reported, checking her scanner. Different oxygen levels than Earth, but safe for humans. 3 alien beings waited in the corridor ahead of them. Danny's first thought was that they looked fragile, almost like large birds without feathers. Their skin was pale blue and their eyes were much larger than human eyes. They moved carefully, as if they were afraid of breaking something. The tallest alien stepped forward. I am Science Leader Thexani. You must be the humans who answered our call. I'm Security Chief Danny Walsh, Danny replied, trying to sound friendly. This is Dr. Susan Blake and Engineer Ben Parker. We're here to get you to safety. Thexani's large eyes studied the humans with obvious amazement. We have heard stories about your species, but seeing you in person is remarkable. You are much larger and stronger than we expected. Dr. Susan Blake was fascinated by the aliens' appearance. They were clearly intelligent, but their bodies seemed designed for a much gentler world than Earth. How many of your people need evacuation? 8 survivors remain, Thexani answered. 2 of our crew were killed when the asteroid struck our ship. We were conducting research on mineral formations when the accident occurred. Ben Parker examined the damaged sections of the alien ship while the others talked. The technology was definitely more advanced than anything humans had built, but it seemed designed for perfect conditions. The ship had no backup systems for the kind of damage it had suffered. Your ship is beautiful, Ben told the aliens, but it's not built to handle emergencies like this. Thexani looked puzzled. Why would we build ships to handle damage? Space. Travel has been safe for our people for thousands of years. Accidents like this almost never happen. Danny realized that these aliens lived in a much more peaceful universe than humans did. Earth's dangerous environment had taught humanity to prepare for the worst, but these beings had never needed to learn such lessons. The evacuation went smoothly. The alien survivors were weak from breathing bad air, but Dr. Susan Blake was able to help them using basic medical techniques. The humans carried supplies and injured aliens to the shuttle, while Thexani explained what had happened to their ship. We were studying this asteroid field when a gravitational anomaly shifted the rocks, Thexani said as they walked through the damaged ship. Our navigation systems could not compensate quickly enough. In our home space, such things are predicted and prevented. Where we come from, unexpected things happen all the time, Danny replied. We've learned to deal with surprises. When everyone was safely aboard the shuttle, Chris Taylor began the dangerous flight back to the New Horizon. The aliens watched through the windows as he maneuvered between moving asteroids, performing maneuvers that made them gasp in fear. "How can you fly so calmly through such chaos?" asked one of the younger aliens. "This isn't too bad," Chris answered. "Back on Earth, we have to deal with storms, earthquakes, and all kinds of natural disasters. Flying through rocks is actually pretty predictable." Back on the New Horizon, Captain Jake Morrison waited in the shuttle bay with Dr. Paul Henderson and other crew members. When the shuttle doors opened and the first alien stepped out, everyone fell silent. This was a moment that would be remembered forever in human history. The aliens looked around the shuttle bay with obvious wonder. Everything about human technology seemed impossibly robust to them. The thick metal walls, the heavy machinery, and the bright lights were all designed to survive in harsh conditions. "Your ship is like a fortress," Thexani observed as Jake led them through the corridors. "Do humans always build so defensively?" "We come from a dangerous world," Jake explained. "Everything on Earth tries to kill you, so we learn to build things that last." Dr. Paul Henderson could barely contain his excitement as he recorded every detail of the first contact. The aliens were friendly and curious, but they seemed amazed by even simple human technology. In the medical bay, Dr. Susan Blake treated the aliens who had been injured in the accident. Their biology was different from humans, but similar enough that basic medical care worked. The aliens were surprised by how gentle the human doctor was with them. "We were told that humans were violent and dangerous," one of the injured aliens said to Dr. Blake. "But you saved our lives and treated us with kindness." This comment troubled Jake Morrison. After the aliens had recovered, he asked Thexani about it privately in his ready room. What he learned changed everything. "Captain Morrison, your species has a reputation throughout our part of the galaxy," Thexani explained. "Earth is classified as a death world, and humans are considered the most dangerous species in known space." Jake was shocked. "Dangerous? We just saved your lives." "Yes, and that confuses many of our people," Thexani continued. "The stories say that humans are unpredictable warriors who refuse to surrender even when facing impossible odds. Your planet is so hostile that it creates beings who can survive anywhere." "Are there many other species out there?" Jake asked. Thexani's expression became serious. "Hundreds of intelligent species belong to what we call the Hegemony Coalition. They maintain peace and order across many star systems, but they also control which species are allowed to expand into space." "What does that mean for humanity?" "Captain, I must tell you something that will be difficult to hear," Thexani said quietly. "The Hegemony has been watching Earth for decades. They have decided that humans are too dangerous to be allowed to spread across the galaxy." Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. "What exactly are you saying?" "There are fleets moving toward your solar system right now," Thexani revealed. "The Hegemony calls it a containment operation, but what they really plan is the complete destruction of Earth and all human colonies." The revelation hit Jake like a physical blow. Humanity had just discovered they weren't alone in the universe, only to learn that their new neighbors wanted them dead. "When?" Jake asked. "Soon," Thexani replied. "Perhaps weeks, perhaps days. The decision was made when your ships began exploring beyond your home system. The Hegemony believes that preventing human expansion is necessary for galactic stability." Jake thought about the 200 people aboard his ship and the billions of humans back on Earth who had no idea what was coming. This rescue mission had just become something much more important and terrifying than anyone could have imagined. Captain Jake Morrison called an emergency meeting in the ship's main conference room. The revelation about the Hegemony Coalition's plans had shaken him deeply, but he knew his crew needed strong leadership now more than ever. Around the table sat his senior officers and Thexani, the alien leader who had brought them this terrible news. "Tell them what you told me," Jake said to Thexani. The alien leader looked around at the human faces staring back at him. "Your species is in great danger. The Hegemony Coalition has decided that humans must be stopped before you spread too far across the galaxy." They fear what you might become. Security Chief Danny Walsh leaned forward. How big are these fleets? They're sending? Much larger than anything humanity has, Thexani replied sadly. The hegemony controls the military forces of dozens of species. They have weapons and ships that your people have never seen. Dr. Paul Henderson had been taking notes throughout the meeting. Why do they consider us so dangerous? We're just explorers and miners. That is exactly why they fear you, Thexani explained. Most species in the galaxy develop slowly and carefully. They build safe ships for safe journeys between safe worlds, but humans come from a planet that tried to kill them every day for millions of years. Engineer Katie Rodriguez spoke up. What does that have to do with space travel? Everything, Thexani said. Your ships are built like weapons even when they're meant for peaceful purposes. Your people treat impossible situations as normal problems to solve. You rescue strangers in asteroid fields that would terrify our best pilots. The room fell silent as the humans realized what the alien was saying. Their greatest strengths were exactly what made other species afraid of them. How long do we have? Jake asked. I estimate 2 weeks before the first hegemony ships reach your outer colonies, Thexani answered. Perhaps 1 month before they reach Earth itself. Jake stood up and walked to the wall display showing star charts. Katie, can we get a message to Earth from here? Yes, but it will take several days to reach them, Katie replied. The hegemony might intercept it too. Do it anyway. Earth needs to know what's coming. While Katie worked on the message to Earth, Chief Engineer Ron Martinez was in the engine room with 2 other Zalari survivors who understood their ship's technology. The aliens were amazed by human engineering approaches. Your power systems are incredibly robust, said the Zalari engineer named Veltar. Our ships would fail completely if damaged like this, but yours keeps running. Ron smiled as he showed them the backup systems throughout the new horizon. We learned to build things tough because our world doesn't give second chances. Everything has backups, and the backups have backups. This approach to engineering could revolutionize hegemony technology, Veltar said excitedly. But it also explains why they fear you. Your ships are essentially military vessels even when used for civilian purposes. Dr. Susan Blake was in the medical bay studying Zalari biology with the help of their medical specialist. What she learned was disturbing. The aliens came from worlds that had been carefully terraformed to be perfect for their species. They had never needed to adapt to harsh conditions. Your people are much stronger than ours, the Zalari medic explained. Your bones are denser, your muscles more powerful, and your organs can function in conditions that would kill us quickly. We evolved on a world with heavy gravity, dangerous weather, and predators that hunted us, Susan replied. Surviving on Earth made us tough. That is what the hegemony fears most, the medic said quietly. They believe humans will spread across the galaxy and take over worlds that other species cannot survive on. They think you will become unstoppable. Meanwhile, Communications Officer Greg Thompson had successfully sent an emergency message to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Helen Scott's response came back faster than expected, and it was not what anyone wanted to hear. Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Scott. We've detected unusual ship movements near our outer systems. Your warning confirms our worst fears. We're mobilizing every available vessel, but we're outnumbered and outgunned. Prepare for the possibility that Earth may fall. The news hit the crew hard. Many of them had families back on Earth, and the thought of losing their home world was almost unbearable. But Jake Morrison had not survived in space for 20 years by giving up when things looked impossible. We're not going to let that happen, Jake announced to his senior staff. Thexani, we need to know everything about hegemony tactics and technology. Over the next few days, the New Horizon became a center of frantic preparation. The Zalari survivors shared everything they knew about hegemony weapons, shields, and battle strategies. What emerged was a picture of an enemy that relied on overwhelming force and superior technology rather than creativity or adaptability. They fight by the rules. Thexani explained during one planning session. Hegemony battles are formal affairs, with predictable tactics. They assume their enemies will behave rationally and surrender when facing superior force. Danny Walsh laughed grimly. They obviously don't know humans very well. That may be our only advantage, Jake agreed. Katie, what modifications can we make to our ships using Zalari technology? Katie had been working with the alien engineers for days. We can upgrade our shields and weapons, but the real advantage comes from combining their technology with our engineering philosophy. We can build systems that keep fighting even when they should be destroyed. Dr. Paul Henderson had been studying hegemony psychology with Thexani's help. Captain, I think I understand why they're so afraid of us. Every other species in the galaxy follows predictable patterns. When they're losing a fight, they surrender. When faced with impossible odds, they retreat. But humans don't do that. We fight until we win or until we're dead, Jake said simply. Exactly. And that terrifies them because they can't predict what you'll do next. As the New Horizon raced toward human space, other human ships were receiving similar warnings and beginning their own preparations. Mining vessels, exploration ships, and cargo haulers were all being converted into improvised warships. It wasn't much of a fleet compared to the hegemony forces, but it was what humanity had. The aliens aboard the New Horizon watched these preparations with growing amazement. They had never seen a species mobilize so quickly or work together so effectively under pressure. Even more surprising was the fact that humans seemed excited about the coming battle rather than terrified. Your people are remarkable, Thexani told Jake, as they watched human engineers installing alien weapons on their ship. I begin to understand why the hegemony fears you so much. They should be afraid, Jake replied, watching his crew work with determined efficiency. They're about to learn what happens when you threaten a Deathworlders' home. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the stars through the main window. The ship had been traveling for 3 months now, heading toward the mining zones in the outer rim. 200 crew members worked aboard the massive vessel, all hoping to find rare metals that would make their families rich back on Earth. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers and life support systems. Jake liked these peaceful moments. Space was dangerous enough without adding extra stress. He sipped his coffee and checked the navigation display. They would reach the mining sector in 2 days. Lisa Carter sat at her communications station, monitoring radio signals from nearby space. As the chief communications officer, she spent most of her time listening to empty static. Sometimes she picked up signals from other human ships, but mostly space was silent. Today felt different, though. Her equipment was picking up something strange. "Captain," Lisa called out, adjusting her headset. "I'm getting an unusual signal. It's not coming from any human frequency." Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "It's weak, but it's definitely artificial. Someone is broadcasting on a frequency we don't use." Lisa's fingers moved across her control panel, trying to clean up the transmission. "Sir, I think this might be an alien signal." The bridge became very quiet. Every crew member stopped what they were doing and looked at Lisa's station. Humanity had been exploring space for over a century, but they had never found any signs of alien life. The idea that intelligent beings might exist somewhere in the galaxy was exciting and terrifying at the same time. "Are you sure?" Jake asked, moving closer to listen. "The signal pattern is too complex to be natural. It's repeating every 30 seconds, like a distress call." Lisa looked up at her captain. "Should I try to decode it?" Jake thought for a moment. First contact with aliens would change everything for humanity. The government had protocols for this situation, but they were far from Earth and any official support. Whatever decision he made, his crew would have to live with the consequences. "Do it," Jake said, "but keep this quiet for now. I don't want panic spreading through the ship. Lisa nodded and began working on the signal. She called Dr. Paul Henderson to the bridge. Paul was the ship's xenobiologist, a scientist who studied the possibility of alien life. He had spent years preparing for this moment, even though most people thought his job was pointless. "This is incredible," Paul said as he listened to the signal through Lisa's headphones. "The mathematical patterns are definitely from an intelligent source. They're using prime numbers in the transmission, which suggests they understand we might not speak their language." Engineer Katie Rodriguez joined them on the bridge. She was one of the smartest people on the ship when it came to technology and communication systems. Katie looked at the data on Lisa's screens and started making calculations. "The signal is coming from the Kepler system," Katie said, pointing at the star map. "That's only 6 hours away if we change course. The transmission is getting weaker, though. Whatever is sending this might not have much power left." Jake studied the navigation display. Changing course would delay their mining mission, but this could be the most important discovery in human history. He thought about his responsibility to his crew and to humanity as a whole. "Paul, what's your professional opinion?" Jake asked. "Captain, this could be a distress call. If there are aliens out there and they need help, we might be their only hope. On the other hand, we have no idea if they're friendly or dangerous." Paul paused and looked at the signal data again. "But the fact that they're using mathematical concepts suggests they want to communicate peacefully." Security Chief Danny Walsh had been listening to the conversation from his station. He was responsible for keeping the crew safe, and the idea of approaching unknown aliens made him nervous. "Captain, I have to advise caution," Danny said. "We don't know anything about these beings. They could be hostile. Our ship isn't designed for combat." Jake understood Danny's concerns, but he also knew that this moment would define humanity's future among the stars. If aliens existed and humans ignored their calls for help, it might set a terrible precedent for future contact. "Lisa, can you decode any more of the message?" Jake asked. Lisa worked for another 20 minutes running the signal through various translation programs. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. The signal contained coordinates, power readings, and what appeared to be life support information. "Captain, I think I've got something," Lisa said excitedly. "The signal contains technical data about a damaged ship. Life support is failing, and they have approximately 18 hours of breathable atmosphere remaining." Dr. Paul Henderson examined the data Lisa had decoded. The technical specifications were unlike anything humans had developed, but the basic concepts were understandable. Whoever sent this signal was definitely more advanced than humanity, but they were also clearly in serious trouble. "This is definitely a distress call," Paul confirmed. "They're dying, and they know it." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These were good people who had signed up for a mining expedition, not a first contact mission with aliens. But they were also explorers at heart, people who had left Earth to see what wonders the galaxy might hold. "Katie, how long would it take to reach their position?" Jake asked. 6 hours at maximum speed, but we'd burn a lot of fuel. We'd have enough to reach them and get back to our original course, but not much extra for emergencies." Jake made his decision. As captain of the New Horizon, he had the authority to change their mission if circumstances required it. Saving lives, even alien lives, seemed like the right thing to do. "Set course for the Kepler system," Jake ordered. "Maximum speed." The bridge crew immediately began working to change the ship's heading. Katie Rodriguez programmed the navigation computers while Lisa continued monitoring the alien signal. Dr. Paul Henderson started preparing protocols for first contact with an unknown species. As the New Horizon turned toward the distress signal, Jake wondered what they would find when they arrived. Would the aliens be friendly? Would they even survive long enough for rescue? And most importantly, was humanity ready to take its place among the stars as part of a larger galactic community? The next few hours would answer those questions and change the course of human history forever. Jake Morrison and his crew were about to become the first humans to make contact with alien life, But they had no idea that this simple rescue mission would lead to something much larger and more dangerous than anyone could imagine.